What's up, guys? Come here, Mia. Come here, little lady. Oh my goodness. See how big she's gotten, you guys? She's so big. Who's there? Can you say hi? Hi. Say hi, guys. We're going to take off her collar because she's very playful at the moment. And when she's like that, she makes lots of jingle sounds. Don't you? Mwah! Okay. She jingles so much and distracts me. So, anyways, hello. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live training things. What do we want to call this? Do we really want to call them trainings, or do we want to call them, what do we want to call them? How do I do this? There we go. All right. So resting, living slower. That's the topic, but like for real. Okay. Like for real, not just talking about it. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of a story time with you and just a couple of things that you could possibly, put into action in your own world and just trying to start thinking about. So, oh my God, she's so cute. Can you see her? She's so cute. So how do I want to word this? Resting. So some of you may be aware of this and some of you may not be aware of this, but in my personal life, I have, unfortunately, had a lot of health things that I have to deal with. And so living slower, resting has always been something that I didn't want to do. But I had to, right? Like most of the time when I would be doing it, it was forced for the most part. So, hey, Kara, it was something that I was forcing, right? I wasn't resting because I wanted to. I wasn't resting because it was part of the plan. Even though I say it's part of the plan, most of the time, in the past, like years and years ago, it was always kind of like a, geez Louise, you guys, hello, let's put our bra back in our shirt. Anyways, years and years ago, it was always basically like once I hit a place that I had no choice but to chill out and rest, right? I was never a big fan of the concept or the verbiage of you can sleep when you're dead. But of course, there was a time, and I feel like a lot of people in their early 20s that are my age now, in their early 20s, that was the thing. Early 20-year-olds now, it's very different, right? Like they're much more aware of these things than we were. Which I think is a good thing for the most part. So anyway, I would not rest until I was forced to, meaning my body just couldn't do anymore. I was so beyond exhausted. I was drained. I was all the things, right? I was burnt out before anybody fucking used the word burnout. Before that was a thing that we talked about on the internet. But even then flash to now where my self-awareness is high and my health and wellness is high on the priority list. And I live the wheel of intentional living. If you don't know, side note, wheel of intentional living is where I'm paying attention to each area of my life as often as possible, every single day, doing my best to keep, attention into the places that it is necessary so nothing falls off track too much. I live that so much that it's funny because when these kinds of moments, which I'm about to story tell you about, happen, it's almost like for a moment, it's almost embarrassing, right? Because for a moment, it's like, wait a minute. Did this happen? How did this happen? You make space for rest. You make space to take care of yourself. This is something that you live. So how is this happening? What I realized is, friends, and what most people do, because then I start, if you don't know this, kind of the way that I do my everything is I just observe the shit out of everything. Not only, it usually starts with something I've experienced or something I've encountered, maybe not always, but then I just do a lot of observation and ask questions of other people and just kind of see what else, how this may be playing out in anybody else's reality, right? And so in that, with that being said, what I realized is that most people, when they're resting, it's forced. And what I mean by that is you've pushed yourself so hard that going to sit on the couch is the only option that you have. You've pushed yourself so hard that sitting in the bed for 2 days is the only option that you have. And what sucks is when we force ourselves and we push ourselves to that breaking point, we sit on the bed or we sit on the couch or we stare out into the freaking abyss, and we are unable to engage, and we're so spent. That's the only way to like describe it. We're so spent. That's not really rest. Do you understand? That's not rejuvenating. That's what rest is supposed to be. Rest is supposed to make you feel better. It's supposed to make you feel more, on top of it, make you feel more good to go, more prepared for the next day or for the next thing or for whatever it is that you want to do. That's the whole point, is that our body needs that. Just like, you wouldn't make your child run 24/7. You wouldn't make your dog run for 24 hours. Like, it's a similar concept, like machines a lot, it's how it works. And so we're not robots, right? So, but what we do instead is that we push so hard to a place where we no longer have anything left in us, to where we then turn into a zombie. We turn into a veg. I always would refer to it as feeling frozen, not like physically cold, but like to muster up the energy to feed myself good food in the evening or go sit in my massage chair, y'all. Like, very privileged to have received like top of the line, very expensive massage chair that stretches you and has the airbags and all things. I received it as a gift for Christmas. There would be times, because I have physical pain almost constantly, there would be times, there were a lot of times up until the last like few weeks, where to actually pick up myself off of the couch or the bed to go sit in the massage chair, I didn't have it in me. The thought of that machine working my body, I didn't have it in me. So then what would happen? I would just remain sore. I would take some aspirin. I would try to stretch a little. I'd get my heating pad. I wouldn't eat good food in the evenings. I wouldn't be eating quality. I'd end up getting up and shoving junk in my face, or not really junk. We don't really have junk in our house, but just sort of random things that are not fueling my body properly, that feed the problem, not fuel my body. You see what I'm saying? But what we end up doing, yeah, thank you, Kara. I think spent is a good word, is we push so much to where we're spent. There's nothing left in our tank. That's not rest. That's hitting a fucking wall and having no choice, right? And there will be days where that's what you'll do and you'll feel fine and it'll be whatever. But if that has been the consistent thing, pay attention, because for me, when that's been the consistent thing, I'll have a solid month and then I'll have a week and a half where I'm fucking down. I'll have a solid month again. And well, that's not true. A week and a half where I'm down. It takes me a week and a half to feel normal or somewhere close to it again. And then for a month or so, I'm okay, but I'm actually just barely making it by, if I really wanted to be honest. And then I get knocked down again. And what I mean by barely making it by is that those times where I took the afternoon off, but I quit working at 4. I took the evening off. I gave myself space. But did you? When you're sitting there, dead to the world, spent completely and frozen, what are you thinking about in your head? Are you going over all the things you still need to do? Are you making lists of all the shit you didn't get done and things that need to happen tomorrow? Are you beating yourself up at the voice inside of your head for the things that you still have to accomplish or you haven't done yet, or whatever it is? Are you on your phone scrolling? Are you answering emails? Are you responding to social media comments? Are you making TikTok videos? Are you engaging with customers? Are you engaging with other accounts because you want to grow your brand? Are you doing this and that and the other things? Like, which one of those things are you doing? That's not rest, friend. It's not rest. It may not feel like you're exerting much energy, but you are. And what happens is there's an energy exchange that happens just from the scrolling that is not restful. Your mind is doing all of this other stuff. It's an energy exchange between you and that person. It's thinking, it's making lists, it's talking about things you should or shouldn't do. It's all of this stuff that's not actual rest. Yeah, Ezra. So with that, I'm one of those people. Like everyone does this and they just don't want to admit it. I know so many people who are like, oh no, it's fine. I'm like, no, man, like the reason that you've been sick for 3 weeks or that one cold knocked you on your ass for 10 days is because you've worked yourself so much, so many times consistently that you've made yourself sick. I've done it back in the day when I worked outside of the home. I had a job at another company and I didn't know any better. I mean, I would wind up in the hospital for a week because I'd push myself. It was always right after Christmas. I was so way too much around the holidays for the business and for my family and stuff. And it would always be right after the holidays. But I mean, I'd get kidney infections, you guys, because I would be rushing so much that eating and drinking water just wasn't even in my headspace. Now, granted, again, I'm 21, 22, 23 years old at the time. I don't fucking know any better, but I wish I did. But there are grown 30, 40, 50-year-old people I know who do the same thing. And then they wonder why they never feel okay, why they're always run down, why they never have energy, why they can't focus. Do you ever give your head and your body an actual fucking break? Do you ever give your nervous system an actual break? Most likely it's a no. You have to be mindful of what you're engaging in. So here's the deal. Hey, ma'am, that's not for you. Stop that. Let go. She's trying to eat my sweater. I had dropped out of my chair and I didn't know it. And she was like in her face. I like this sweater, you jerk. Don't eat it. Anyways, we're still in the phase of the puppy life where everything on the floor belongs to her, in case you were curious. Everything on the floor must be a dog toy. Anyway, so a lot of clients and a lot of people that I work with have children, right? So it is not an uncommon thing that they don't get much time to themselves. But also, especially for a lot of the women that I work with, in my friends and things, one of the things that I consistently hear is that they get overstimulated with touch. Not only is it always a lot of sound, but there's just always something and someone touching them, right? So at the end of the day, there's not a lot left for their relationship with their significant other or whatever, or even friends or whatever it might be, right? So what you have to start negotiating and be more aware of is that you have control over some of these things. So if you know that's something that happens to you and you're wanting to change that, then you need to communicate that very clearly with your spouse, your partner, but you also need to communicate it with, especially when your kids get a little bit older, you can start some sort of games. You can start things that you can explain, hey, mommy needs you to keep your hands to yourself for a while, blah, blah, blah. There is definitely people like, oh yeah, Jamie, cool, you don't have kids. I mean, you don't need to know my story on how much I've been in that position. But just trust me, just like anything, we can set and draw lines if we want to, right? Just like with your phone, you don't have to have it on you all of the time. It's not necessary. You can leave it sit on the counter and have it on do not disturb. It's a possibility to do that. You can come back to it in an hour and check it later. I put mine, when I lived in my apartment specifically, I would put it in the closet because my apartment was really small. And so I would put the phone in the closet and I would take off my watch that's connected to my phone, because I knew that if like my mom or somebody who was on my do not disturb list, they could called, I would hear it, but I wouldn't have to look and see and whatever. So it created that distance. It created that space where I got to have a break from the electronics. So that's the other thing when it comes to reading. I was just talking to a client today when it talks about, are you really resting? Are you really rejuvenating? Are you really feeding your mind with the things that it needs or wants or it's good for it, right? Like, are you really doing that? And one of the things with him that we know to be true is, because he's really fucking hard on himself, to where if he's constantly reading personal development books, it distracts him from being consistent and doing the things that he needs to be doing, because he's a good business owner. He's good at what he's doing. And the consistency on those things is the most important part, not being distracted by 75 other entrepreneurs or gurus' opinions of what he could or should be doing, right? Like, that's not healthy or productive or helpful for him. So what we did is he understood and agreed to shelf all of the personal development books for quite a long time. Shelf them. No more personal development books for him. And here's why. When you're trying to do something that's restful, that's helping your capacity expand, that's feeling like a getaway, right? That's kind of the idea, is to try to create these little rest moments where you actually feel like you're getting away. That's not include zipping away into your phone and scrolling through shit. That's not a getaway. That's an avoidance, and it actually is hurting you more than it's helping you, right? Trust me. So what did he start doing? What are some things I'm actually interested in reading? Fiction or biographies or how-to books, or like there's, books about the history of everything you could imagine. Like one time I went on this whole spiel. My friend Chris Griffin actually told me about several of these books that were about different industries that he thought my boyfriend would be interested in. He's like, man, I really think Tony would think this was really cool. So actually they're all on my shelf. Like I have one about the cod industry. I have one about salt, like, because it's an easy thing for him to read where he feels like he's being fed, like he's feeding and nourishing his soul, but it's not hard. It's not making him think of more things he needs to do. Like you do that yourself. You don't need that all the time, to where sometimes you do need that motivation and you do need to be learning. But here's the other thing. If you're trying to create spaces for things that are restful, if the books that you're reading are associated with your work, your job, your education, that's not rest. That's education. That's continuing education. So you need to look at the difference. So if that's what all you're like, oh, I'm going to have a rest. I'm going to go sit outside. I'm going to leave my phone in the house and I'm going to read this book. And you're reading a book about, let's see, I have this whole book about vlogging. It's a great book. It's funny. It has funny stories in it, but it's all about video blogs. Do you think that's a restful thing for me to read? Do you think that's rejuvenating? Do you think that's me taking a pause to regroup and make sure that I'm okay to redo my brain has a moment to chill so I can come back at high capacity tomorrow? Here's what I want you to understand about everything I'm saying. First of all, if any of this is making sense, give me some comments. Give me something in these things. I love that. It's helpful. But anyway, the thing that's interesting about it is that what I'm telling you, a lot of people are like, yeah, right. Okay, Jamie, that's cool and everything, but I don't have time for that shit. I got more things to do. I got things to do. Let me tell you what. If you take this part seriously of actually creating space to rest your mind and your body, like in a real way, it makes you more productive. It makes you more on. It makes your mood better. You're able to be proactive instead of only reactive. Your attitude towards things completely shifts and changes. It's just the way that it works. Nobody wants to believe that and take the time to create it because it's easier to do the other thing because you're getting a quick fix. Especially with your phone, you're getting a quick dopamine hit while doing absolutely fucking nothing. And so it's this ugly little cycle that you get caught up in, where instead, if you were to take what I'm telling you right now and utilize it and implement it into your life for 60 days, your headspace would be different. Your mood would be different. Your ability to engage with people would be different. Your ability to slow down and not fly off the handle would be different. Your rest would be different. Your body would feel different. Your creativity would be through the fucking roof. Trust me. I'm telling you this because I do it. I go through cycles. We're all cyclical. I go through cycles myself, right? And so what ends up happening there, so back to the main example, what I was getting at is that I had this moment where I was like, okay, why is this happening to me again? Why am I getting knocked on my ass again for a week? What is this happening for? Now, granted, I have a lot of underlying health things that no one can figure out. Fingers crossed, finally see, like, I think these doctors are really going to figure it out after 20 fucking years of these symptoms that literally, like, if I explained it all to you, if you want to know, there's a podcast episode called My Life Sentence, and it's on my podcast. We'll link it. You can read all about it or listen all about it. There's plenty of blog posts I have too, but anyway, that's not what this is about. But I was like, why is this still happening to me? And I realized that more often than not, my rest and time off was forced. I was in like a vegetative state almost because I had pushed myself so hard all day long that there was literally no space. I'm sorry, this sound is making me nuts. There's literally no space for actual rest and rejuvenation. There was no actual thing happening where I was allowing my body to calm down and do what it needs to do, because I pushed so hard that it turned into the zombie space, right? So what did I do to reset that? That's what I really wanted you to walk away from with this. How can you reset that? Well, you can reset that by putting your phone away. When you're off work or you take a break or you walk away, put your phone away. Sounds easy. It's huge. It's not easy. A lot of people are like, oh, but I need to look this up. Oh, but I needed to answer that message. Then write that shit down on a piece of paper or something. And don't go get your phone. Lock it up. Some people I know actually use this there's like a thing you can buy off of Amazon that you can lock your devices in for however much amount of time. Right? Like it's like a cookie jar with like a lock thing on it or whatever. So doing that, but also paying attention to doing like, what does that feel like? So for me, it was every time I started to think about what I needed to be doing, I had to regroup my head and say, no, Jamie, that'll be there when you come back. That'll be there when you come back, and let it go. It was a lot of mindset work. There was a lot of meditation involved in that. The other thing was the moment that I was like, ooh, I'm hungry. That sounds good. I got up and got my food that I wanted. The moment I was like, my back is hurting. I got up and went and sat in a massage chair because I fucking could. I didn't need to wait. I didn't need to finish anything. I didn't need to let someone else know or set up the whatever. Like, we create all of these blockades in our world that are so unnecessary, as though somebody is staring at you and going to say, but why did you do that? Or why didn't you do that? We care so much about what we may or may not look like, or what we may or may not achieve, or what somebody else might think about what we do, that we lose fucking track of what we need. And how do you even know what you need, right? I made a post a couple weeks ago on Facebook about having fun and how I had taken a Saturday off. So even from anyone. So sometimes if I take a Saturday off or take a day off and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hang out by the pool, then I'll invite my parents or I'll invite my friends or I'll ask Tony, do you want to hang out with me? Whatever. So then there's always stuff to do, right? There's always somebody to feed or somebody to talk to, or are they here yet? Did they find their way? Do they need anything? Like, there's always something to do. That's work for me. As the ultimate caregiver of all people, like, that's work for me. So I created a day where there was just me. Tony had the dogs. He knew that he had the dogs. It was really hot, so the little girls couldn't be outside with me, the little girl dogs. So he had it under control. I took, I had Pedialyte, I had water, I had snacks, I had the umbrella up, I had the fan, I had the music. I was good to go. I brought a book out. I'm like, all right, what are you going to do? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, we're having a day off. Cool. We're going to get some sun. So I like put my sunscreen on. I have music on. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, I'm fucking bored. I could be doing this. What if I played with the garden? What if I did the weeds? What if I did and I was like, what are you doing, Jamie? Stop. Like, this is not what you're out here for. Like, you have not taken a day. At that point, I had not taken an actual full day off in months. Not good. Not good. But we're all humans. We all have our moments. Okay. Anyway. So what did I do? I sat there and I thought, what could make this fun? What's something that you do by the pool that's fun? And it's like, well, usually there's a friend here. I have the music up or we're singing or whatever. Right. So I thought, what could I do that's fun? What could I do that's fun? And I remember, my brother and I, because my brother has 2 kids, and we would do jumping contests, right? Like, who can do the biggest splash with a cannonball? Who can make the smallest splash? Who can, whatever. We have these jumping contests. And so I'm sitting here by myself in my oasis of a backyard, by the way, like, lucky me, I know. How do I enjoy this and make this fun where it's actually rejuvenating me and I'm not sitting here thinking about how I'm bored and how long have I been out here? How much longer do I need to sit out here? What do I do to shift my head right now? So what did I do? I got up and I started doing cannonballs all by myself. It's funny because then I was telling my girlfriends about this a couple weeks later. They were at the pool with me. We were having like a mental health day or whatever for them and stuff. And because they both have kids and we were just trying to take a break for them. And I told them I did that. And they were like, what? By yourself? How funny. You're back here just jumping in the pool by yourself. Like, that's so funny. And I said, yeah, it is. But it was so fucking fun. It was so fun. And then my friend Kristen was here and I'm like, Kristen, come on, let's jump in the pool. Like, jump in the pool with me. And she's like, all right, it's cool. I got to wash my hair later anyways. So then her and I did cannonballs, right? Because it's fun. And there's nothing else. There's nothing, no judgment to it. There's no worry. There's nothing else to do. Like, but that doing things like that break the cycle. They break your headspace. Guess what? After I did that cannonball by myself in the backyard, what did I do? Got on a raft. I relaxed. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was like listening to a podcast and thinking about, I wonder how it would be to be interviewed by Oprah. Like, that would be cool. I wonder what she does in her spare time. Like, I'm pretty sure she has a garden. I think I've seen that she has a garden somewhere. So like, that's where my head goes. That is a healthy way to relax and bring your head into a place that's not work. It's not overworking and worrying and being mean to yourself and all of those things. So all of this to say, my friends, are you really resting? Are you ever actually taking time to not be on? And we're talking to somebody who carries a pretty big responsibility in almost every relationship that she has and shares her life with you on the internet. So like, being on is like a big thing in my world. I'm on all the time. All the time. But what if that didn't have to look any different, no matter what it was that you were doing? What if you could sit in your backyard and do cannonballs? What if you could run through the sprinkler by yourself, not with your kids, not with your cousins, by yourself? You turn the sprinkler on and you run through it and you just fucking laugh. What if you read a book for fun? Not for a book club, not for studying, not for education, but for fun. That's why I read magazines. There's another tip for you. That's why I read magazines. Magnolia magazine. So other than the fact that I'm obsessed with Joanna Gaines, and I think she's one of the most incredible creatures on the planet. Joanna, huge fan. Her magazine, Magnolia, that's what you see right here. Not only are they gorgeous, so like I obviously like keep them all because I think they're pretty. And I like have a dream in my life to be the editor of my own magazine because I think that would be incredible. But in the Magnolia Journal, we're talking the longest article is 2 pages. And they're usually feel-good stories. They're also a lot of real life shit like restoration, gardening, lifestyle, design, style, family, cooking. There's a lot of those kinds of things happening. My doctor's office is calling, so I'm going to jump off of here in abruptly because I need to answer this. But yes, that is it. Those are the things I suggest for you. So go out into the world, maybe this weekend, and give yourself a rest because you deserve it. Thank you for being here. And as always, if you like this message, please give it a thumbs up. And if you think anyone else would benefit from it, share it with them. Leave a comment of your favorite rest. Leave a comment of your favorite item from the video. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, you can hit subscribe and you can click that little bell thing and it gives you notifications whenever I go live and whenever I give new video content here. Thank you for being here. Love you. Bye.